Hello everyone, and welcome to the first Not Evil Studios devlog for our brand new VR game, TDVR.
Hey, I'm Kira, and I'm going to show you a bit of an insight on what's been going on in the Unity development side of things for TDVR. So most recently, I've been working on a wave spawning system, where we're basically defining the waves and the enemies that will spawn in said waves, as well as like the order that they'll spawn in and how many will spawn. I'll give you a quick demonstration. You'll see from this point here, get some lovely slime spawning. Most of these things are base assets at the moment. This is more the functionality we're showing. You can see that when the slimes die, this gold value here is going to go up. And as the wave is complete, after this is dead, you'll see wave 3, it goes up. And that will be this wave element 2 here. You see that this has a different slime there. And once this wave is defeated, we'll go into wave 4, which is the element 3 one here. Now this wave, I'm going to demonstrate what happens if you don't make it to the next wave. They'll go up to this, which is the gate, and you'll see that this health is going to go down. And when it reaches 0, the round is lost. And you'll see that after the countdown, this gold value goes to 0 and you gain XP. So this is the general game loop that I've demonstrated here. So as you beat the waves, you get more gold, which you're going to use for upgrading and building your towers, such as this cannon tower and this one that was shooting the enemies with a laser, which, if that's temporary, is actually going to be like arrows instead, such as these ones, which I'll demonstrate soon. And as you pass through the waves, they get more increasingly difficult. So start off with only 3 slimes, you get more, and then different variations. Slimes is just a placeholder for now. There will be different things as we get through development. And so when all these enemies get past all your towers, all your defenses, and you, as you try to fight them yourself as well, and they get to your gate, which is, again, a placeholder object, they will try to attack it and try to destroy your gate. And when they destroy it, the game is lost, you lose all your gold, because that just is persisting through the current playthrough. So your EXP, or your XP, your experience points, will persist. As you see, it went up and it stayed as the game restarted, because this is what you'll be using to upgrade outside of the game. So, like, unlocking new towers and making them better. Giving them different abilities, as well as yourself. You'll unlock different arrows and other utilities in order to be able to progress further into the like levels, the waves, by giving yourself, better chances through these upgrades. One last thing on the spawning system, but it's important to mention that this is for the setting the enemies that spawn like this, where we're basically hard defining it to be said enemy in wave 1, said enemy in wave 2, etc. This is for story mode. There will be an endless mode. The way I'm thinking of doing that is going to be assigning kind of like tiers or categories to different enemies, which new tiers or categories get introduced as the levels progress, and more get spawned to increase the difficulty so that it can be endless.
Hello, my name is Chris, and I've recently taken the position of the 3D artist at Not Evil Studios. I'm going to show you some of the models that you may have just seen from the last segment, and talk a little bit about how I created those models. So here we have in my opinion, the adorable green slime. He's angry, he's a low tier enemy, so it's okay. The slime was mainly created using the deform tool with proportional editing on, using a very simple shape. And I used a shader graph to create a texture that you can see on him, these sort of these swirls here. And I baked it onto a UV map to export it into Unity. Unity unfortunately can't communicate with Blender's shader graph, which is unfortunate, but we move. Most parts of game objects that you want to create in Blender They typically need bones if you're going to animate them. So these bubbles here, for example, inside the slime, or if you had a knapsack on the side of a soldier, they would typically need bones to animate them within Blender. And here you'll be able to see that he does have some animations. You may have seen them in Unity. So you've got the idle animation here, and then you've got one where he's readying to jump. These are hopefully things that we'll be able to implement into the game too. But you can see here that the bones are animated with the bubbles here. I tried many times to animate them without adding bones, but it like deformed the rest of the model. I couldn't quite figure out why. But it seems quite widespread that people will use bones when needing to edit certain things like this.
So you may have noticed during my demonstration, this tower, the cannon tower, was shooting cannons at the enemies. I'll just show you a little bit of how that's working. So I put a heavy enemy over here, and I'm not going to have the game actually spawn anything for now, other than this one, so that you can see how the cannon shoots the enemy. So basically, what it does is it checks the speed of the enemy as it shoots, and it predicts where that enemy will be when the cannonball lands. So it's not like moving towards it, it's actually predicting its location and going towards it like that. So I think that's pretty neat to show you guys. Okay, so now I'll show you some of the VR workings of how this all works. So in the game, you, the player, will not just be watching your towers destroy everything and building and upgrading them. You can step into the fray as well. So we have some basic bows here. They're not currently like the final model. You'll see as I get the arrow on it, it's not exactly perfect, but it's going through it. But that's just, prototype temporary model. But we do have some functionality, so you'll see that this is my right hand. I can put my hand on the bow, I can pull back, and I can release it to fire an arrow. Or I can release it a bit lower to fire it not so far. So that's a regular arrow, as you can see. This is a fire arrow. You can see the giant one on the floor. This has some fire particles coming out of it. And I can fire this, and you'll see the arrow goes over there with the fire particles on it. This is the bomb arrow. So if I go and fire this, it explodes when it lands. They all fly in the same way, and they will land on the floor like that. So it's like it's digging into the ground instead of just flopping over or disappearing. And if I were to spawn an enemy, there's the slime here. Hello, big slime. I can pick up an arrow, or a bow and arrow, so I grab the regular bow, pull back, shoot the slime, and you'll see the arrow is stuck in its body. Makes sense because it's a slime. And I could shoot a fire arrow. It'll also get stuck in it. It will do fire damage over time. You can see its health bar is going down. And now it's stopped taking fire damage. And I can shoot the bomb arrow, which will do a nice explosion. And it will damage it. And I can keep shooting it until it dies. And then it'll disappear after a little bit of time. With the arrows also gone with the body. There's no death animation at the moment. They just stay for a little bit and then disappear. But of course that will be changed eventually.
Next, we have the bow that you will have seen Kura firing in the last section. And as you can see, it doesn't have a bowstring here, but this is because this is something that we add inside Unity. And next, we have the tier 1 arrow, so the stone arrow. This is going to be the base arrow that the player has when they start the game. These are mostly made up of sort of primitive shapes, but there was a lot of sort of creating different vertices and sort of moving those into the shapes. That's the way I did it. Started with a 2D plane, moved the vertices to get a general shape, and then I sort of add modifiers to that to create a solid shape. And that's the method I took with making sort of the arrowhead here, as well as the flights on the back of the arrow. So as you can see, we are going, at least for the moment, we're going with sort of a simpler art style with more blockier colours instead of like a photorealistic approach. So that's why you see here, like, there's some simple textures on the arrow there to show, like, wood grain and stuff. And the same with the arrow. I like the sort of, like the oily art style that you sometimes see in games in regards to stone. So, yeah, very much like the simple art style. So that's the tier 1 arrow, and next we have the fire arrow, which you can distinguish it. It's different because the flight is red, and at the front here we have this sort of coiled cylinder that I used to sort of coil that around the end of the arrow, and then that will be on fire in game. Obviously, let the player know this is a fire arrow and it's going to cause some damage. And lastly, we've got the bomb arrow. I like the bomb arrow. I had a lot of fun making this one. So again, simpler art style, distinguishable by the orange flight, where, you know, explosions are orange, and that seems like a good colour to use. And at the end here, we've got sort of like those little cherry bombs that you see in a few different games. That's sort of where I got the inspiration for this. Pop one of those on the end of the arrow here with a little fuse, which will be lit. That will sort of give off little like sparks and stuff, let the player know that you need to fire this soon, and it's gonna create a bang. So these ones, you know, these are going to be in short supply, and you can use these to take out a fair few enemies at any given time. So I think these are going to be very fun to use, and I look forward to seeing people use them.
So finally, I will show tower building. So, as you can see, we have, well, the rest of the map's over there. The towers are still disabled. That's alright. We're going to build a new tower anyway. So, this is obviously a default object here, which I can't reach because I have not placed myself very well in VR. I have the hammer. Take the hammer off of the table. There we go. There's a few things need working in the game with it. You can see this says hit and build, so we're just gonna hit it, and you can see, wow, there's a tower in progress. So, we come over to the tower, and we're gonna hit it. This needs a bit of work, as you can see, but the general idea is here, as you hit the tower, that bar goes up until boom, the tower is complete. We have built a tower. Of course, it's this is the prototype version of how it's going to work. But the general idea is there. You're going to use the hammer. You're going to hit the tower in progress until it's built, and then the tower can start shooting enemies, and you can hopefully not lose your gate and win the game.
So here we have the tower that you may have just seen Kura expertly build in the last section. As you can see, the basis of it is here, but the door and the arch do still need some texturing, but for the current purposes, it does the job. I created some protruding parts up at the top here, the top of the tower, the crenellations of the tower. I definitely did not need to Google what they were called again. And up here is where your different variations of the ballistic weaponry will sit. Whether it be the cannons that you saw, or whether it be the arrows, or whether it be something completely different. Guess you'll have to wait and see. And over here we have the wonderful Suzanne showing the first draft of the health UI that we were going to use for enemies. We ended up changing this out and putting them underneath the enemies because we feel it would be a lot less intrusive to the player's vision while still doing the job of informing the player of enemy health well enough.
So, there's one last thing I would like to show you. You may have been wondering what this little grey orb next to me is. What's wrong with me? I'm going to show you. So, if you need to bring your bow around with you, oh no, when you drop it, it just kind of exists there. But no, what you can do, hover it over this grey dot, and boom, it comes with you. So I've invented this pocket system. Well, not really invented, people have done it before. But, you can put an item in your pocket, and it will stay around with you. There's also a feature to make it bounce to the player. I can click bounce the player, and if I release it, it comes right back. So it doesn't matter where you drop it, it will always come back to you. That's probably what the bow is going to have as a setting, because you don't want to lose your bow. At the moment, the pocket is in front of your face, basically, but it's most likely, for the bow pocket, it's going to be on your back, so you just have to reach back, take it out, and there you'll have it. The hitbox to grab it on your back will be bigger, just because currently you grab the bow by grabbing this red part here, which would be quite difficult if you can't see it on your back. But yeah, that's the pocket system.
From the entire team at Not Evil Studios, thank you so much for watching our first devlog video. This video is going to be longer than the rest of the devlogs just because of how much we had to pack into this one video. Please take a moment to visit our Kickstarter page by either searching TDVR on Kickstarter or clicking the link we've provided in the description, and click on the Notify Me button to be notified when the Kickstarter goes live. We look forward to showing you so much more in the future.